Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting of April 7th, 2015. Roll call, please.
Happy to report all 5 selectmen present this evening, as well as town council.
Okay, we will continue our new process of a pledge of allegiance to the flag. Mr. Titlebaum, it's your turn.
Are we ready?
We're good.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay. Next we have announcements, Mr. Titlebaum.
I know you can if you really want to.
Yeah, I got something. Today, we have an election in town till 8 o'clock. Precinct 1 votes at Town Hall. Precinct 2 is the Hammond School and Onset. Precincts 3 and 6 vote at the Minor Forest School. Precincts 4 and 5 vote at the Deacon School. So you've still got 58 minutes to get out there and get your vote counted. Earlier today, I had the pleasure of traveling to Beacon Hill to testify before the Joint Committee of Government and, municipal government and regional government. This was in regards to the sewer legislation.
Yeah, municipalities.
Municipalities, yeah. They've handled very little business today, surprisingly. There were only 4 bills. You would think after they were dealing with 351 town meetings, city council meetings, what have you, that they would have a lot more on their plate. But they seem to be moving very slowly this legislative session. So we were pleased to have this come up as early as it did in the session, even though to us it may seem late. To them it isn't by any stretch. No. They seemed receptive to the idea that this legislation needed to be passed, and they also seemed receptive to the idea that it needed to be passed and in place by May 1st, which is when the new sewer commissioners take over. So we're hopeful that they will not only recommend it to their respective bodies enthusiastically, but that they will request that the clerks of those bodies get it docketed for expedited review and approval. The last thing is the Beach and Tourism Advisory Committee is going to be holding a tourism meeting out at Rosebrook in the new Marriott. This is 8:30 a week from today, 8:30 a.m. Don't show up at night, we won't be there. Among the attendees will be Susan Williams-Gifford, our state rep, Paul Cripps from the Plymouth County Development Council, and various other people to speak about tourism in the town, how to promote it, how we can be more like Plymouth and how they promote it in particular. And so I really hope that the business people in town will take a little time out of their busy days and show up and participate in this, because it's for their long-term benefit as well as the town's. Thank you.
Mrs. Whiteside.
Yes, I just want to remind you all that the law, as of today in Massachusetts, is that if you need your windshield wipers, your lights must be on. If you need your windshield wipers, your lights in your car must be on, your headlights.
Does not include your running lights, by the way.
Right,
Taillights.
Or your DRLs.
right. So if you have an older car that needs to have the lights turned on manually, don't forget, it's a $5 fine if you get caught, but it's also going to nail you on your insurance. So don't forget.
I believe the second offense is 2 points, which is about $200 in your insurance a year later.
Mr. Holmes.
Thank you very much. I do want to say that, most of the snow is gone. I thank God for that. There are still some piles here and there. But I also want to say that my beautification travels continue. And yesterday, I was coming along behind Main Street on the water side. And I got to tell you that even after this harsh winter, the place actually looked very nice. Several buildings have done some painting back there. The place was cleaned up of brush and debris, and there was some litter, but there's litter everywhere. But all in all, along with this, down by the fire station was nice. The buildings have done some work there. The train depot there. That loading station looked very nice. They've done a lot of work on that. So, and I noticed that around town. So I know that it's spring and we're still worried about here forecasting the snow every once in a while, but hopefully that's going to go away and we can focus back on beautification. So I just want to thank those businesses down there that have done this work. Every little bit helps, whether it's a fence or a little bit of paint or some landscaping. It just makes our town look much better. So thank you very much.
Mr. Tropiano?
I'm all set.
Just to follow up a little bit with Selectman Titlebaum, what we had done is we had been in contact with Senator Pacheco and Representative Gifford. Unfortunately, the bill that we passed in the fall in October to modify the existing sewer commissioner bill, which had left off some important pieces, mainly the town administrator, where he needs to be inserted because by town charter, he has full control of labor negotiations and also the budget. These pieces were put back in, they were left out by accident. As what seems to be always, these home rule petitions, which are supposed to be fast-tracked, does not happen. They basically went through November, December, January. The new government came in with the governor, but also the House and Senate reconstitutes itself very much like we do, and therefore there had to be a whole set of new chairmen of all the different committees, also the joint committees, etc. And for some reason, which I will never understand, they didn't really accomplish that until about 2 weeks ago, which means since January there have been no bills of any kind passed, moved, even get bill numbers, etc. So the state of Massachusetts for the last 3 months has been a stalemate, which is kind of discouraging. I've been on the phone constantly with our senator. The actual bill, I think, was S-34. And a representative. Normally what happens is the senator puts the bill through first, then it goes to the House side. It got to a joint committee. They decided after my complaining they were going to try something different. There was ourselves and 3 other towns that have what we call home rule petitions. These are things that are normally just, again, they're very simple. They're put through, the town votes for it, and there's really not much discussion. Just have to make sure it follows Mass General Law. I got a call last week on, I think it was Friday, asking a couple questions and basically getting an answer on Monday. Oh, by the way, you're going to need to come up to Boston and testify. Because you really should, because if you do that, it will go a little quicker. Of course, I didn't have the ability to leave the town of Wareham today because of the election. So I asked Mr. Titlebaum to go up in my place. I think it was a good thing we did go because we were able to actually be there hands-on, explain exactly what it was and what we were doing. And I expect this to probably, I shouldn't say probably, I expect this to be in place by May 1st. I made it very clear that when the new sewer commissioners come on board on May 1st, that this will all be in place. And they more or less told me that that was going to happen. That's why we got this April 7th date. So I want to thank everybody for all the hard work on this. And it's unfortunate we have to do it this way, but this is how it works lately. I've got a few announcements. Mr. White is having his coffee hour. Bob, still at the Agawam? Yes. Okay. Again, at the over at the Agawam Senior Center there, the village. You're going to have Matt Rose, mentalist, will be our guest this week. 9 o'clock in the morning, Bob? Yes. Thursday? I'm not sure if we're going to be there with a mentalist. This is a notice, has to do, I believe, with the Wareham Free Library. Author Anita Shreve to benefit the Wareham Free Library. Massachusetts native and highly acclaimed author Anita Shreve will be in Wareham on Thursday, April 23rd, to benefit the Wareham Free Library. The event is co-sponsored by the Friends of the Wareham Free Library, the Wareham Library Foundation, and the Wareham Free Library Board of Trustees. Good, all 3 groups. The public is welcome to a reception, interview, and book signing at the Wareham Free Library at 59 Marion Road from 5 to 6 p.m. Mrs. Shreve will speak about her love of public libraries and will be interviewed by former NPR host and onset resident Naomi Arenberg. Donations will be gratefully accepted. They're also going to have a dinner with Anita. It will take place at 7 p.m. that evening at the Catanza Club at 11 Point Road in Marion. Tickets for this event are $100 per person. To personally meet the author and to sit at Anita's table, tickets are available at $1,000 each. Reservations are required as space is limited. RSVP by April 17th. Contact number is 508-295-2314.
May I just say that the proceeds are actually going into the foundation?
Yes.
It's co-sponsored by everybody, but the proceeds are going to the foundation.
Last, I have the Business Expo, which is Friday, May 8th. This is being put on by the Wareham Community Economic Development Authority, the Canal Chamber Regional, and the Cranberry County Chamber of Commerce. The Cranberry County is based out of Middleborough. We actually we triple dip, and we have our feet in both of those particular chambers. This will be Friday, May 8th, 2015, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. The expo is free and open to the public. There'll be a 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. lunch and panel discussion. It'll be done at the Town Place Suites, Wareham, Buzzards Bay. Rosebrook Event Center, 50 Rosebrook Place. Get connected, network, and learn how you can promote your business. Guest speaker will be Dorothy Severies. I believe Dorothy is the CEO of Cape Cod 5 Savings Bank. It doesn't say it here, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Panel discussion, how to grow your business. The panelists will be Melinda Ailes from Massachusetts Small Business Development Center. I know Melinda personally, and she does a great job and has a lot of good information for everybody. Christine Moynihan, Principal Retail Visioning. Paul J. Muse, Chair of the Greater New Bedford Workforce and Investment Board. Anyone that wants to do a booth exhibit, it's $125. If you register by April 10th, it's $25 off. Includes one lunch at $25, and actually one lunch, sorry. It's $25 for lunch. If you want a table of 8, it's $175. You can register online at www.capecodcanalchamber.org. And if you want more information, call Terry, 508-759-6000, extension 11. And I think that's it for the day.
Mr. Chairman, Patrick, 1 second. Folks, it would just take a moment, if we could, today, and just take a quick moment and keep Marianne Silver and Jack Silver in your thoughts. Marianne's sister passed away, I believe, yesterday. So if we could just keep their family, you know, they're a very large family in the town of Wareham, and everybody's connected, as it turns out. My uncle, Larry Trahan, who used to own New Bedford TV, and he lived out at Blackmore Pond 40 years ago. His grandson was married to Elsie's daughter, so that was his mother-in-law. Don't blame me for the child. I haven't seen him in years, so I don't know what he is. But if we could take a moment, that whole family, they do a tremendous amount for the town, she serves in elected office, and they do a lot of volunteer work for the town. And if we could keep that whole family in our prayers and thoughts, especially over the next few days, that would be greatly appreciated.
Like a moment of silence?
Thank you. That's fine.
Why don't we have a moment of silence for that, please? Okay.
Okay.
I have just one thing before we continue.
I know.
And I'll just make it very quick. Coming down Narrows Road, Minot Ave this afternoon, everybody knows my feelings about trash in the town of Wareham and how I have problems with all of it. There was a black Pontiac Grand Am. I have the license plate number. As I was driving down, the person driving the car threw a banana peel right across from one side to the other and out the window. Unfortunately, I don't have the power to arrest anybody or to even make a complaint to the police. The police have to see someone do it. But I will be reporting the license plate number, et cetera. And I'm at a point now where I think this board needs to, down the line, look at businesses that basically sell stuff which becomes trash and start looking seriously at some kind of surcharge or something, because we just can't seem to control trash whatsoever. And I think the only way to control it is when it costs money. Thank you.
All right, we have a public hearing that starts at 7:15, so we're going to move on to the public hearing on the application and transfer of an existing year-round retail packaged goods store all alcoholic beverage license from Mill Pond Station, 2569 Cranberry Highway, to DMCS Corp., DBA Rosewood Wine and Spirits, 20 Rosewood Place, Unit 2, of Wareham under Chapter 138. I move that we open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mrs. Whiteside. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
All the parties come down.
500.
Evening, Mr.
Welcome.
Chairman, members of the board. Long threatened, we're here this evening to ask for the transfer of the package store license from 2569 Cranberry Highway, Mill Pond Station, to what we think will be a much more complete, much more attractive, and frankly, extremely well-run operation at 20 Rosebrook Place. So these are the folks who we propose to transfer the license to. We think their background, years of experience, and the particular operation I'm familiar with that they built out and ran at the Pine Hills is, in my opinion, second to none, and that's why we've been courting them for quite some time.
For the record, could you identify yourself as well as
I
the others?
apologize.
Thank
My name
you.
is Jim Kane. I'm with the 80 Makepeace Company.
Thank you, Steve.
Deborah Maglino.
And Christopher Smith.
Thank you.
Okay, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you're going to do, and get a little maybe PR at the same time.
I'll start. My name's Christopher Smith, lifelong resident of Wareham, West Wareham. Owned and operated with my partner, manager, and mother, the wine shop at Shaw's in Brighton. Been in the Brighton-Alston neighborhood for 15 years. Very proud of the fact that we've been in such basically a college area, but a diverse area. 15 years, no infractions. We really pride ourselves on responsible retailing. We run a clean operation. I ventured off on my own with a couple partners and opened up Long Ridge Wine and Spirits in the Pine Hills. That was 10 years ago. Ran that for 8 years until we decided it was time to sell. Again, ran that for 8 years as owner of that business. No infractions in the town of Plymouth. Again, pride ourselves on running a clean operation. A lot of education with it. We did a lot of catering, wine dinners, different events. And then now we're here to try to do something similar here in the town of Wareham.
Terrific.
Deborah will be the
question?
manager of the establishment.
Questions from the board? Peter?
None. Thank you.
Mrs. Whiteside?
I'm impressed that you have no infractions in Brighton. That's really good.
Thank you.
Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, is this the same Five Guys?
No.
No,
We're
this
not
isn't Five Guys.
Talking about Five
It's
Guys.
the liquor store.
This is the liquor store.
Oh, my apologies. So I see A is the Five Guys.
It is the same Five Guys this time.
Was-
No, thank you. It's good about the no infractions, and it's just good to see that, working with Mr. Kane, that we're able to establish more and more and more businesses in town. They've done a great job at bringing you folks in, and we hope that we're trying to do a good job at welcoming you and trying to help you along. So
Thank you.
Thank
welcome to Wareham.
Thank
It's nice to have you in a few minutes.
I just want to say, I know Chris for a long time here. We baseball coaches together and things of that nature over the years, and I know him to be a considerably upstanding individual, and I know he runs his operations with a lot of class. And I'm glad to see that you guys are involved, because I know it'll be a good situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Looks like you got a little gray from last time I've seen you.
Wow.
I know Chris from, actually, I think 3 years ago was the first time I met you. Just out of curiosity, where in the Alston-Brighton area were you?
Western Ave,
Okay,
right on the Charles.
yeah, I used to have a business on Brighton Ave in Alston, but actually Harvard and Brighton Ave. I know the area well. It's not an easy area, the kids are tough.
Yes, they
Mm.
are.
Is that near Marino's breakfast place?
No,
You know, Marino, Joe Marino?
no.
No,
There's a
Breakfast
breakfast place
Club?
there.
there's the Breakfast Club.
Right.
Right on Western.
Yeah,
It's great.
no questions. Like I said, I know how Chris does things, so I have no problem whatsoever.
All right, so this is a public hearing, and I need, is anybody here to speak against the license?
4?
Is anybody here to speak for the license?
Go ahead, Jerry.
The
Okay.
record will show Mr. Gerald Barrows speaks in favor.
All right, in view of that, I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 500.
Anything the members have that we want to add?
Questions?
Then I move we approve the application transfer of the existing year-round retail packaged goods store all alcoholic beverage license from Mill Pond Station, 2569 Cranberry Highway, to DMCS Corp., DBA Rosebrook Wine and Spirits, 20 Rosebrook Place, manager Deborah Miglino?
Miglino.
I was close.
Yes, you were.
That wasn't too bad, right?
No.
I usually get dumped on for that, so that was pretty good.
No, that was good.
Under Chapter 138.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mrs. Whiteside. Any questions from the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank you. We look
Thank you
forward
very
to
much.
having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so next up, we're going to have Five Guys Burgers and Fries.
There we go.
Is anybody here for, now you're in.
Now I'm in. Now I can ask my
You're in
question.
for Five Guys.
Watch, there's nobody here.
Is there anybody here?
Oh,
There he
there
is.
he
He's here, he's here.
Oh, nice to see you
Only
again.
one guy showed up, though.
That's because there's no hamburgers available.
All right, so tell us what you're going to do.
Okay, my name's Bob Zink, and what we're planning or hoping to do is open up a retail restaurant at the 20 Rosebrook Way, serving hamburgers, hot dogs, milkshakes, and Coca-Cola products.
And French fries, don't forget the
And French fries. I didn't
Yeah,
say
you
French
can't forget
fries,
those,
right?
because you guys do some great fries.
Yeah, they're all
Made
handmade.
fresh, yeah.
Everything in the, everything we serve is fresh. And
it's
all
peanuts.
made to order.
And it's
And
what?
peanuts. Peanuts while you wait.
Peanuts.
Oh, yes, hot dogs.
He's
Yeah,
going
that's
for the
gonna kill you.
peanuts.
The hot dogs are wonderful.
They are.
Yes, they
They're
are.
very
Hot
good.
You'll
dogs.
have to keep them out of the place, though.
I'm gonna get a season pass.
Any questions of the board, Mr. Titlebaum?
No, I'm rather familiar with the product.
Yeah.
Mrs. Whiteside?
Which one? Which product are you familiar with?
All of them.
All of the above.
Wow.
Mrs. Whiteside.
I'm not, but welcome to Wareham.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Holmes.
Okay, I can ask my question now. Is this the same Five Guys that I eat at all the time in all the various airports I visit? It's like
Same
a franchise?
family, yes, the family, Morrow family, who started in Arlington, Virginia, owned Five Guys. They franchised about 7 years ago. They started franchising, and they sold out all the rights to the country in 2.5 years. They own the ones in the airport. They own 400 of the 1,200 Five Guys across the nation.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
outstanding food, I gotta
Yeah.
tell you. It's-
And they're very involved. It's the father, Jerry Morrow, who is probably 70, and his 5 sons. And that's the Five Guys. And they all work in the business.
My new lady questions my expense reports now because I have $20 for lunch at Five Guys because you have the best hot dogs. I gotta tell you, Alan.
It's
You
gonna
wanna talk
kill you.
about some hot dogs?
I know what it
These
is.
guys have some great hot dogs, and you know, I'm a sucker for a good hot dog.
I like the hamburgers.
But no, that's what I wanted to know, if it was part of that,
Yes,
that
yes.
chain, because they have some really, really outstanding food. And I see you going out to Rosebrook. Another welcome and thank you to Mr. Kane and his people for all the hard work they're doing to promote Wareham over at Rosebrook. And welcome, if there's anything you need, you can talk to Mr. Kane, approach the board. We're here to try to help you in any way we can. So,
Great, greatly appreciate it.
welcome to Wareham.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve will be your new best hot dog customer.
They'll have to have security there
Yes,
just to
they
keep
will.
me out at lunchtime.
Mr. Tropiano.
Well, having worked in a family business, anytime five brothers and 5 family members can get along and work in a business, that's pretty good.
They
Without a lot of fighting, you know.
They
and a
get
lot-
along very well. Their ages are, right now, I believe, about 25 to 50, I would believe, and, or early 50s. And they get along very well.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And I have also participated in some of your things, pretty much all of them. And it's good food. I've enjoyed it, and I'm going to look forward to go over there and share once in a while with you guys and
Great.
enjoy it. And thanks for coming.
Great, well, thank you.
So it's 11 to 10, 7 days a week.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll
Yes.
talk about that in a minute.
And this is going to be, and this is ready to go now?
Close.
We hope to, yeah, in a couple of weeks. We'll get our CO and be open.
Okay.
Okay, we have
Before you go,
one other thing
I
that we
just-
have to do
I'll make
before they go.
a comment before you go.
All right, we got one other thing I need you to do for me. If you'd come up and grab this for me. You didn't sign the workers' comp certificate, and then you have to sign it, under the pains of perjury and all that. If you could sign that, that'd be great.
While they're doing that, I'm not gonna go over my story, why it almost became 6 guys, but he'll explain that later.
You should have brought some hot dogs with him. all
7th.
cooked, and that would have been a breeze. You wouldn't have
All
to
right,
sign
awesome.
it.
Thank
I'll
you.
sign it for you.
I could have been the next, I could have been the other brother.
Oh, that's fantastic to have those guys in town.
All set to go?
Yes.
Why don't you start the motion, Patrick, please?
All right, I move we approve the application of Wareham FG Inc., DBA Five Guys Burgers and Fries, 20 Rosebrook Way, Unit 3, Wareham, for a common vicular license.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by the hot dog king, Mr. Holmes. Any questions from the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Look forward to seeing you.
If you need anything, just let us know.
If you ever have to go up to the office and see Shirley, bring food.
Onion rings, which I didn't hear you mention.
All right. Next up on the agenda, we're gonna go to continued votes, and by the way, I crossed out favorable action votes, just so you know. Continued votes on the town meeting articles.
I believe with Mr. Sullivan not being
gonna
here,
You wanna wait?
and the union contract will be up on next week's agenda, not this one, we're gonna have to pass. We have nothing we can vote on.
All right, so next would be any other town business in 24 hours, and we do have one.
Yes, we do. This came up today, and we're trying to get this done to, actually, I believe this is Mary Ann's.
This is Sean LaFrance is applying for a one-day all-alcoholic, a beer and wine license for a funeral at 50 Rosebrook Place on 4/10/15 from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now, I want to explain to everybody, typically, we don't give a license to a place that already has a license, a one-day license. But since their license hasn't come back from the ABCC yet, they don't have a license, hypothetically. Even though we've granted it, it hasn't been completed. So we can give them this license.
Also,
It's
this
in
is
his
being,
personal
this is
name,
being
yeah.
applied personally, it's not being applied under the Cranberry LLC. So this is the reason why we have it. The original application did say the event center, which is, the application was changed to eliminate that, so we don't have an issue.
So who is the license being issued to?
Sean LaFrance.
Yeah, for this-
Personally.
Personally, for this one day.
I just have a question. I'm not sure who it goes to, but the liability insurance is fine, but it's in the corporate name.
I know that,
You know that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to take it that I'm going to move that we approve the one-day beer and wine license for Sean LaFrance from 50 Rosebrook Place, Wareham, Mass. on 4/10/15 from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Second. And would the record please show that it's Sean R. LaFrance?
Sean R.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mrs. Whiteside.
On the
Also,
question.
for everybody to understand, the tips training is on the back side of the application there, so that
Yeah, I saw it.
everything is in place.
Everything was there.
Any questions from the board? Mr. Holmes, go ahead.
I have a question, and it may be more of a comment, but in issuing this license, and I think I understand the reasoning behind it, but when you do a one-day license, Sean, Mr. LaFrance, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And town council won't opine, but I know he'll shake his head for me. You would need to be really careful that the stock you use is not the stock that you're gonna use with your other license.
But they have
That
no
has
stock.
not come back yet.
They have no stock. They have no
I understand that,
no
right.
license.
I understand that, but the stock they use for this event, when the event's over, cannot be used when they get the other one back.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Okay.
So you have-
Just so you know what the
Yep, I
Because we've
understand.
had
You
issues
have to
in
break it
town,
out
and I don't
separately
want
when
you
you
to,
purchase it.
I don't want you to get off on the wrong foot.
I understand.
Okay,
Thank you, Steve.
thank
All
you.
right. Motion's on the floor.
Any other questions from the board?
Nope.
None heard? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Town Administrator's report.
You
We're
can pick up
skipping.
that license tomorrow at the town hall.
thank you
We're
very much.
obviously skipping. We're gonna move.
Chairman, point of order.
Go ahead.
You left out citizen participation.
Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right, Cherry, and I'm glad you asked for that. We'll back up.
Go ahead.
We'll back up to citizens' participation. Is anyone here to speak to the board this evening, with the exception of Dave and Sandy, if she's here?
She's not here. We're okay.
No? Okay, seeing none, citizens' participation is completed. We will now move on to liaison reports. Mr. Titlebaum.
Just one. I attended the Cemetery Commissioners meeting last Thursday, I guess it was. All was fine. They continue to express support for their town meeting articles to transfer money from the repair of the garage to the acquisition of property next to Agawam Cemetery, as well as for the main article to acquire the property. Ms. Rose of the Cemetery Commissioners gave an interesting account of showing up essentially in a nightgown to the FinCom to talk to them about that as they were holding their hearing on it.
It was fun.
And it was quite an interesting story, and I'll leave it at that.
Ms. Whiteside.
I want to thank Mr. Titlebaum for covering that meeting for me, because I actually had white-sided somebody's office the day before, so I had to leave town. I really did leave town. The Council on Aging is booming along. They have published their first issue of the Beacon, and it was delivered with all of the Meals on Wheels clients. And I just think that if anybody is interested in seeing a group of people who just plain don't take no for an answer, they meet in this building, is it Tuesdays or Wednesdays? I don't even remember. Tuesdays, I think, at 1 o'clock. And they're very active, and they're very concerned about the third of this population that happens to be senior citizens. The Veterans Council is also a group that I would not want to cross the wrong way. They're meeting every 2 weeks in the town hall, Thursdays at 7 o'clock. They are working actively on their Flag Day and their Memorial Day program, actually, excuse me, just the Memorial Day programs, and making sure that they are coordinating with the cemetery commissioners and the municipal maintenance director to make sure they have a list of all of the veterans in town whose graves would be decorated for Memorial Day. The library is also very active, and I would say publicly that the trustees have reached out to WCTV. That was not the town reaching out. It was the trustees reaching out to WCTV. For the cemetery, after last week's presentation, I went into the hallway and had a conversation with Mr. Dutch about his students possibly helping rebuild the Center Cemetery garage building, which would not be funded, presuming that the two articles that we have placed on the warrant for the cemetery pass. He said that that would be great because they're always looking for jobs, but, you know, real jobs, and that in terms of making, what are they called, buttresses? What are those things? Yeah, not just trusses, yeah. That in order to build trusses, that would be a project that would be very applicable to the carpentry program. Yeah, and you know, they can do the electricity as well. So that project has not been knocked off the screen. It is still active, but it seemed to everyone that the $90,000 to repair basically what's a garage building was an exorbitant amount of money, and we can get it done better, cheaper. Thanks.
Mr. Holmes.
Thank you very much. I will try to keep it brief. I sense an urgency to get out. But this is an important issue that you guys put me on this task, and I'll just be very brief. You know, some 10 months ago or so, Mr. Slavin helped me on an issue. I was out working on this junk stuff, and I asked Alan to go behind me to verify what I was seeing, to make sure I was seeing the right thing, because I didn't know a lot about it. And at the time, Alan came back and said, Steve, this is going to open a can of worms, you know, and I said to him, we have to do what's right. So, bringing you up to speed. This week, yesterday, and Mr. Bowen, who I promise, Rich, as long as I'm sitting here, we will never ask you again, okay? I'll do my best to make sure it doesn't happen. He's opined so many times over the last 10 years about this issue that he opined again yesterday, and the opine was the same one he gave 10 years ago. So Rich has not changed one iota on, I'm sorry, town council has not changed one iota on this every time he's been asked. So hopefully we don't bother with you too much. Although you did clarify some things a little bit differently for me, in that you separate zoning from regulation, where the inspector does the zoning piece and the Board of Selectmen and others have an issue over the regulations. So that was new to me. I mean, you probably have said that 100 times and I just didn't hear that part. I would like to submit to Patrick, the clerk, a letter that I got in my envelope tonight. I asked for an update on an inspection that we had done back on March 17th, or St. Patrick's Day. This letter is dated the 19th. I'd like to get a copy, and then Patrick, if we could put this in the record for tonight. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Basically, it's a letter from the Board of Health to the owner of that property. There are some additional pictures. I know that we put the whole other packet in the record 3 weeks ago, right? And I think these are just some updates. I'm waiting for 2 more pieces of information. I thought Bob was going to try to get it in here for me, but he was sick in the hospital last night. If we could keep Bob Ethier in our thoughts and prayers too, he's not feeling well. But I'm waiting on a final letter from the fire department, and I'll go by there if I have to and put that up, because I think next week we have a hearing.
Yeah, so
The 17th.
That would be on the fire department.
Onset Fire, yes, Onset Fire Department. So I'll have that to you and get it into the office so that Janet can send it out to you for next Tuesday.
Send it down.
Yeah. And she could, would you ask her to
No marketing.
resend that back out to us?
Yep.
Please. And the last piece I have to just give you an update is, I've been working on these, we don't know what to call it, so here's what I came up with. I'm thinking that it's not a policy, not even a guideline for the Board of Selectmen, because I think if you do a guideline, people come in and say, hey, I meant that, I meant that, I meant that, I meant that, you gotta give me this license. And I think that to set a guideline infers that if you meet 1, 2, and 3, you get a license. And town council is twitching his nose, so that's good. So here's what my thought is on this. I've come up with about 10 items. And what I'd like to do is, with the board's permission to move to the next step, is get a copy of the current application for these licenses and redo that application to include these things, and they become informational pieces for the board to consider when reviewing these licenses. For example, in the packet, just like we do for the liquor license, you have to have a tip certificate. We want to see your sales certificate. Just like you have, you know, some of these other things, the liability insurance. Do you have zoning approval? And then some of the things that we suggest to people, or well, not suggest, but demand lately, no debris around the building, no debris on the outside of the building. Those are things we could put on a license if we so choose. But I'm thinking things like the sales certificate, pictures of the building. Are you going to be serving food there? All these things should be on that application. If you are serving food there and the food is to be sold, then guess what? We want to see the attachment for your victualer's license, just like we do if you serve alcohol. We want to see your tip certificate. So I think my intention was never to change the article A board policy, I don't think is the answer. But I think the answer is to take the application and redo it to include these things as informational pieces for us when we consider future applications.
Okay.
Does that sound about right? And to clear the air, I'm not proposing 25 additional junk licenses in the town of Wareham. I've become the junk czar. But here was my point, again, just briefly, Patrick. There was no other, we have these businesses, they already exist, right? We have opinion from council for many years, and he's reiterated that. So they already exist. They are in business every day. Some have closed, by the way. After our meeting 3 weeks ago, they decided to close the doors, follow the law, and wait and see what happens at town meeting. The reason why, the only option available to these people, and this is their livelihood, they have employees. This is some of them, it's their only means of making money. And the only reason we had to do that, Patrick, was because it's the only way that they have a shot at staying open. We have 5 licenses. The 5 licenses have been issued. These people, the only shot they have is town meeting to approve that, or some number up to 25. It's not looking good, I understand that, but it's their only shot. And then, even if that were to happen, they still have to come here and be approved by this board. Just because town meeting approves the licenses doesn't mean that we have to give them out. So the only way that they even had a hair's chance was to try to get that on the
Warrant.
special warrant, because it's a bylaw change. We can't make that change like we did with the used cars. So that's where I'm at. If you don't mind, I'd like to take that next step, take the current application, redo it and put some of these caveats in there, and then bring that back to you next week and we can review it again. Or I'll get it out to you during the week, and then we can discuss it next week during the liaison report. Is that okay? Does that sound, through you, is that
Sounds fine.
reasonable to town council for an explanation of
Sounds reasonable.
what I think we're trying to do? Does that work, Pete?
Should
Rich?
that be Mr. Bowen as that, or actually as an agenda item? Would it be more appropriate as an agenda item at that point?
We've been doing it as liaison, but you're right, if we're gonna
It'll be an agenda
vote to
item.
change
Yeah.
an application.
At some point, it'll become agenda item.
Yeah.
So we'll
Okay,
have to
if you
do
want
it.
to make a note on that for the 14th, if you're comfortable with that.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that's my turn. All right, so,
You've been waiting.
I've been waiting, yeah. These things never, you know, there's an election today. Everybody knows that. My friend over here, and I call him my friend, Mr. Slavin, is up for re-election. I'm optimistic that he'll get elected, although I don't know Mr. Freitas, and, you know, frankly. But I need to say this because it never does happen, and it should happen. And that is that I have been pleased and privileged to serve with this man to my left. Had him on my left. I was his clerk for this year, and he allowed me to do that. And I have been on this board a few times and enjoyed my time here, and it has been terrific to work with him. He spends a lot of time doing his homework. He has a lot of knowledge, very knowledgeable. And no matter what happens today, I consider him my friend. And I think this board owes him a real debt of gratitude for the leadership he showed to us this year, all of us. And I just didn't want, you know, something to go wrong tonight, and the next week we do it sort of like after you're in the grave. I wanted him to hear it, you know, in front of us, right when I did, and I just want to say thank you very much for being here. And, you know, you're really, give me here. He really deserves it. You know, more than any of us, and it's not that others don't work hard. This guy is constantly going to meetings and constantly keeping abreast of everything, and I don't think we would be as good a board as we are without him, and that's just my opinion. All right, and that's all I have to say. It's now it's yours.
Just one addition to
Oh,
that.
wait a minute.
On-
I
on the-
started a.
If you do lose, on the bright side, we really can name that thing on Merchants Way Slavin Station.
Yeah.
Thank you. I got a few things for today. I was at the meeting about the TIP program, which has been updated. The Wareham reconstruction of Route 6 and 28, which goes basically from 500 feet east of Tyler Ave to east of Red Brook Road, which is project number 117106, is at status 75%, which means it's quite a ways in the process of being done. The EC score, which is basically all the different pieces after, it's 51 of 93, which is, we're in pretty good shape there. Fiscal year 2017 means anytime after July 1st, 2016, the project could actually be activated and go. It's probably going to be a 2-year project. The original project that was on the tip was for $13,598,713. Just to give you an idea of inflation in 1 year's time only, and doing some more work. The project is now $17,501,322. The extra $3 million, they've been able to come up with different programs, so everything is in place and still ready to go on that. We've had a couple meetings this past week. If you don't mind, I'll use my phone to remember everything. The Onset Water Department, we had a meeting with them, with Ty and Bond, and we sat down and talked to them about the working with an MOU, because several times before when we've tried to do, talked about a use-based or a base plus a use-based system for sewer, it's always had a roadblock saying we can't get information because the Onset Fire and Water District and the Wareham Fire and Water District can't get the information to the town, etc. I've always felt that was just someone really didn't want to do it, so that was a good excuse. We had a meeting with them on Wednesday this past week, and they basically sat down with Ty and Bond and we're coming up with an MOU as far as the information for privacy, and that's going to happen. We then had a meeting on Thursday. We brought in, unfortunately, we were about a week late doing it, but we brought in all the candidates for sewer commissioner. We went through everything that we were doing, full explanation by Ty and Bond where we were at. There was questions available to the sewer commissioners, and it went extremely well, and I'm very happy how that ended up as well. The other piece we have, just for information for people, which really isn't there, the Bay Point Club, as we know, is going to be proposing on the 13th of April a fairly large project for the property. They are going to have on April 9th, I'm not going to call it an open house, but it'll be at the Bay Point Club. It'll be an informal and informative presentation of what they're proposing, which is a proposed mixed-use development project plan. It's going to start at 7 p.m. on Thursday, April 9th. Anybody living in the area, we've had several residents come up to ask to look at the plan. I've been happened to be available when I was at the Selectmen's office when 2 of the people came up, and I went through the whole project with them, explained everything that was going on. I expect to see the water department there at the hearing because they have some questions and issues. And I'm hoping it's between the meeting of the 9th and the meeting of the 13th, and hopefully this project will basically get on board and get tracked in the right direction, because it's kind of been going in a circle and spinning. It needs to get fixed and done so it'll work right. Again, I'd like to thank everybody on the board. It's been a... 13th is the planning. No, 13th is the planning board hearing, and the invitations have gone out to all the abutters as well. But this other one is a public informative meeting as well. Again, I'd like to thank everybody on the board. It's been a fun year. Clerking was easy. Being a chairman is trying at times because, you know, when they tell you you're on board 24/7, they aren't kidding. It actually makes it difficult to make all the meetings. I've had days when I've had meetings at 7 o'clock at night, and there's been like 3 or 4 different places I'm supposed to be at, and I have to try and delegate as best I can to my fellow board members to pick up for it. The more involved I get with more different groups and stuff, the harder it is, and I'm actually looking forward, if I do get reelected, not being out of the chairmanship will give me a little more time to get these projects done from commuter rail and just transportation issues, et cetera, which I spent a lot of time with. So I'm looking forward to the next year if I do make it. Thank you very much.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mr. Titlebaum, I think. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 5-0-0. Good night, Wareham.